right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Change Your Mind. I'm your host, Chris Ashley, and I'm really excited because I have a guest today, which doesn't happen very often, but it's someone that I'm really excited for you to hear from. I'm really excited to talk to her. Hi, I'm Chris. When I was younger, I went through trauma that caused me to feel broken and lost. But my life changed after I had a spiritual awakening. Since then, I've dedicated my life to studying and learning from masters all around the world that have helped me to create a life of fulfillment and abundance beyond my wildest dreams. Now I'm dedicated to sharing everything I've learned so that you don't have to suffer for decades like I did. I've seen people's lives completely transform, and I share it all right here. So without any further ado, this is Loli Jane. Loli Jane is a certified professional animal communicator and pranic healer. She is thrilled to be serving animals and their humans as an interspecies communicator. So if you want to talk to your animal or assist with any kind of issues like behavioral issues, training, health, the dying process, assisting lost animals, reincarnation or past lives, and animals as mirrors, I'm going to have to ask you about that. That one's interesting. She also provides highly effective remote energy healing. So Loli is doing pro bono work with the Honolulu Zoo and has worked with Wildlife Sanctuary, Pacific Primate Sanctuary, and the Wildlife Waystation doing animal communication, volunteering or providing pranic healing, and cleansing and energizing chakras. So I'm so excited to have you here today. Welcome, Loli.
Hi, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Talk about this. It's amazing.
And Loli and I happened to just kind of stumble upon each other in a podcast group, and I was so excited to have you on. So, I'd love for you to bring us back to the beginning. When did you first realize that you could communicate with animals?
Can I put my glasses on? Because I'm like looking at you and everything's blurry. Okay, here I am, my glasses. I'm like, I'll try to do this without my glasses. So, God, the beginning, we could go back to when I was profoundly hard of hearing my entire childhood. So I kind of learned to look at the world differently. I was not talking to animals then, but I learned to be a lot more observant, and I learned to use, I guess, other senses, to be other sensory, I was a psychic child. I knew things. I had all kinds of crazy experiences with that. But I wasn't walking around talking to animals. That's, some animal communicators will say, oh yeah, I was talking to animals from like age 3. No, I wasn't. But, I had all these other experiences because of my hearing loss. So I became an animal communicator in the 2000s. I was talking to animals before I was formally trained, but I decided to go to formal training in, I think, 2019 with the Gurney Institute of Animal Communication. So it's a training school, and it's been like this life-changing journey, which just keeps on keeping on. Amazing.
So is it something that anyone can learn then, or do they only take applicants that already kind of have that intuitive or psychic powers?
Well, the school that I went to is no longer doing professional training. I am doing professional training. So I actually have a workshop this Saturday if anybody's interested. The Intro to Animal Communication. I teach a full certification program. So I have 13 workshops. So anybody can do this. In the words of my teacher, it is not a gift. It is an innate skill that humans have, and it's telepathy, basically. Mm-hmm. So telepathy is communicating with thoughts, words, and images silently. You don't speak. And that's how the animal kingdom communicates with each other. And that's we're part of the animal kingdom. So we do have the same body parts and tools that animals have to communicate telepathically. We just never learned it. We were taught to use our mouth and, to verbalize everything. So yes, you have the ability.
So do you also have psychic powers when it comes to humans? Can you know what other humans are thinking or feeling?
So telepathy is not psychic. Because let me tell you the difference. Psychic is kind of like things pop in randomly, or it's a guesstimate. Telepathy is you're actually calling up the animal. I look at their picture, I call them up, based on the connection with their person, and I start a conversation with them. And I start asking them if they want to chat first off, and then that their person sent me. And then I start asking them, whatever the issues are about, or just to get to know them, tell me about yourself. And then they respond, and I respond, they respond, I respond. So it's not the same as psychic.
Okay.
Completely different, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, I do work with humans. I am a soul healer on the human level. So the animals bring their humans to me about their animals, and then the animals turn it around and say, well, my human needs to do this, my human needs to do that, and to work on themselves, and then I help the humans. So I do healing sessions. Sorry, my nose is like really itchy right now. I do human sessions with the humans and the animals, and soul healing. I do angelic channeling. I'm a channel. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the differentiation, and I'm sure our listeners do too, because a lot of people haven't heard of animal communicators and they don't know what the difference is. So you mentioned that there's different ways, right? There's visuals, maybe you hear their voice in your mind, maybe it's their presence. And I know you said that you have your hard of hearing. So is there a specific way that you personally communicate best with them?
That's a good question, because we're all different. Like every single animal communicator is different, and they bring their own gifts. I was a channel. I was an angelic channel before any of this started. I never went to school for it. It happened naturally. I had a whole, year-long experience, angelic, the angels coming down and teaching me. And so I'm clairaudient, and I'm clairaudient because of my hearing loss, I think, too. Because somebody said, well, you can't hear in this dimension, but you can hear in every other one.
I'm gonna say that's interesting that's what
I know, right? So, all the suffering was for something.
Right.
So, like, I'm clairaudient. Some people, like some animal communicators, they only get images. They don't get audio. I like getting audio. I get everything. I get audio, images, pain. I get empathic pain. I've had animals drop me to the ground with their pain.
Wow.
I could be on a session with somebody, and all of a sudden I get this random strange pain somewhere, and I tell the person, they're like, "Oh yeah, my animal has that." I'm like, "Okay," but we all do it differently. So I like being clairaudient because I can hear their personality, just like I'm talking to you. Get a sense of their personality, and I can hear a voice behind their personality, and I can write down their personality for you. But if you just get images, you don't really get that. So because I get it all, it's kind of fun, talking to the animals.
That is fun. Do certain animals prefer to communicate only through visuals or only through their voice?
Yeah,
or just you? Okay.
So it depends on the giver and the receiver. Just like some people are more auditory versus visual, so are animals. So they may talk a lot, or they may send a lot of images, or sometimes they talk a lot, and then I go, oh, you can send me an image too, and then they'll start sending the images. So yes, the answer is yes to that. So it depends on the giver and the receiver of how this communication with the animal communicator is going to take place. But can I mention one thing? This has to be said about Netflix. So I keep watching these animal specials that they have, supposedly horse whisperers or animal communicators on there. And they're not doing animal communication at all. Sitting there, like I used to watch Heartland all the time. And she's like, a horse whisperer, but she's not. She's a trainer. She's not a horse whisperer. I mean, yeah, she's intuitive, but they don't really show what actual animal communication is on all of those animal specials. It drives me nuts. I'm like, when are they going to do a Netflix special where they actually like ask us how we do it and have us do it? I'll sign up for that.
That makes sense, because I'm a horseback rider. I have been since I was 6, and I know a lot of the like famous horse whisperer from back in the day, it was all about noticing the horse's body language and that, right? It wasn't actually like communicating in that
Yeah,
sense.
and that's not animal communication. That's just being sensitive to animals' body language. We
Yeah.
all are. I mean, anybody who owns a horse is going to be sensitive to their own horse, you know, or anybody that works with horses is going to become sensitized and know what some of the nonverbal means. That has nothing to do with animal communication.
Totally.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think
So
that they would have something because they have like a lot of shows with mediums or
they have
psychics.
mediums, exactly. If they have mediums, why not? They don't want you to know the intelligence of animals because if you did, then they have a lot of messages. I just sent the zoo this really cool thing because I work really closely with the Honolulu Zoo with the head zookeeper who's been there for 32 years. But the administration won't have any part of it. So
Mm.
she calls me all the time to do a healing on an animal. I just had to do a healing yesterday on an orangutan, you know, or I do a communication to help with a vet text or whatever. But I just sent them the messages from all the animals that I talked to at the zoo, messages for humanity, what they had to share with us and what their purpose is, you know, being front and center in the human world. And it is the most amazing thing you've ever heard.
So what do they
Like
say?
in your life. I mean, if you would, can you do a screen share and then I can pull it up?
Um,
Because I can pull it up now. Let me,
or can you just
without
give
doing
us
a
like,
screen
can
share,
you
but
just give
I
us,
have an image of the animal.
or can you just give us like a little overview of like what their
Okay,
message for
I'll tell you
humanity?
what the giraffe just said.
Okay.
Let me just pull this over.
Oh, I love giraffes. They're so
Okay,
peaceful.
I talked to the giraffe about leaving its body, and he asked to be not euthanized. He asked to go naturally,
Huh.
and they actually listened, and they actually let him die naturally. So he gave me a message before passing, and I'm going to talk to him again when I get time. I'm going to talk to him because I can talk to animals in spirit too, just like a medium. But I was giving him a little time to transition. Okay, let me just open this up. Hold on, I'll read it to you. Okay, so Makana, they also called him Squirt. Wait, hold on. Let me get this bigger.
Right.
Okay, Makana. Oh crap! Sorry, my computer is doing weird things today.
It's okay if you can just like remember some of it. You don't have to even read.
No, I don't remember anything an animal said 2 seconds later
Okay.
because you're getting a lot of information. Okay, I just want to read this to you. Okay, Makana, message for humanity. Makana is very grateful for having met animals he never would have met in the wild. The animals I've met have so much to say. Even though you feel the drudgery of daily life, we animals are here to be with you. Tap into our wisdom and knowledge. We are not just hunks of flesh. Find the magic that surrounds us as animal beings. Spend time with us instead of just cleaning and feeding us. Know yourself deeply. You do not really know what's inside of you. You don't think that deeply. You are busying yourself with tasks. Stop and get to know yourself and the world around you. It might amaze you. Don't avoid being in joy. It is your highest vibration and can heal others. When you are in joy, you surround yourself with others with beautiful light energy and can heal worlds with this energy. Don't forget this from me. My fellow beings, we really are one, but separate bodies are just an illusion. So you can fulfill your story. Why do you think I'm so tall? So I can reach the heavens. This is my work. Love that.
That gave me chills.
I know, I cry when I
That's
read
really
the
beautiful.
end,
Yeah, I'm like
especially
tearing up
when
a
he said, why do you think I'm so tall?
little.
He told me, Makana told me that his purpose was to bring people back into being heart centered. And you
That's
can
really
connect with him anytime, you know, look at his picture, meditate with him, and he'll bring you back to being heart centered. Like that was his purpose on the earth this time in this incarnation. Isn't that cool?
that's so beautiful. I love giraffes so much.
I know. So I got a whole bunch of really cool things from the animals, that I've talked to. So they have just the most amazing intelligence. I mean, beyond what your imagination could ever conceive, animals can think.
It sounds like they're even more advanced than we are in the spiritual world, right?
Yes, they're much more spiritual and they're much more oneness connection. And all the animals have told me, every time I talk to another animal at the zoo, they tell me, we've been waiting for you. What do you mean you've been waiting for me? The person just contacted me. Well, the other animals have talked to you and we all talk about you and we know what an enlightened human being you are. And we love talking to you. And I've been waiting to talk to you for like a year now. Like, that's amazing. They all talk to each other in the zoo, even though they're not in the same enclosures.
Yeah. That's really
telepathic.
Yeah.
And they all share.
So do they don't have negative thoughts about being locked up in a zoo?
No, every single one of them. I know this is hard to hear because it's awful to watch sometimes, but every single animal that's in human care, we used to call it in captivity, but we call it now in human care. They have chosen this lifetime. They've told me they have chosen to be in front of the humans so they could affect humanity and work with the humans. And, they're sending off thoughts to us all the time. We may not know, but when you visit a zoo, you're getting the animals' thoughts sent to you. And you may think it's your own thoughts. And they have chosen this life, believe it or not. Every single one of them have told me that. And they each bring something else, like every single animal brings something else to the table. Some are healers, some are like scientists, some are like a record of the earth. I had the elephant named Mari told me stuff about the earth and about like the earth records and about the woolly mammoths and about a whole bunch of stuff, which is science. It's amazing. I think that's why they kind of don't want to put it on Netflix, because if we actually could talk to animals and we knew, then we wouldn't be slaves anymore. The humans wouldn't be slaves anymore. We would be free.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear.
And I think that came from Makana.
Yeah, that's cool. My listeners are very familiar with the idea of having soul contracts and choosing what you're going to be in this incarnation. I talk about that all the time. So it's cool that animals have that. And it's interesting because as humans, we forget when we cross the veil, right? We come into this life and we don't remember our plans that we have so carefully laid out with our spirit guides. And it's interesting that animals can remember that. They remember their purpose here and they remember what they chose.
They absolutely do. If I talk to clients' animals, I always ask them their soul purpose. What's your soul purpose in this incarnation? And a lot of the ones that are pets, that are with us, their soul purposes have to do with service to us because we're soul family. I'm doing a podcast on this next. Soul families, reincarnation, and past lives. And they're all soul family with us. So like they may not be in every single lifetime with us, but they incarnate with us over and over and over and over and over as different animals. And also, yes, they can be humans.
Yep.
And they come back to us to help us with our lessons, to be in service with us right now, to help us get over this, our karmic stuff that we need to like get over that hump, And I'm finding more and more, and I just had a case yesterday. These animals that are passing right now are reincarnating like immediately. Like if they're coming back, like if it's appropriate that the people can have another animal, they are choosing to pop right back into another body. And they're doing what's called walk-ins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a walk-in is?
I do. The person who, my first mentor who led to my spiritual awakening was a walk-in. His name is Drinville Melchizedek. But if you want to explain it for our listeners, go ahead. I haven't done an episode on walk-ins.
Okay, so when you reincarnate, you decide, you're going to come down and you're an animal and you're going to be of service to your person once again. You can either choose So you can seek out a pregnant body of an animal, that's about to give birth, give a litter of kittens or puppies or whatever it is. And you can choose to be an infant animal, or you can find an existing adult body that's already there with a soul that wants to leave. So it has to be an agreement between the two souls. So if one soul is very tired and ragged and has, been of service for, 20 years with their person, and they're just tired and they want some rest, they can agree with the incoming soul to leave the body and do a switch. And I just had this case yesterday, and it's going to go on my podcast. I'm going to talk about it. It's mind blowing. They did the whole, switch, and there was like probably a day or two that both souls were in there. And she even told me that before I told her that. She said, I knew that. She goes, I saw both of their personalities at the same time in this one animal. And then all of a sudden, the cat's personality completely changed to the way the dog was exactly. That just passed. I had just talked to her dog too. I talked to her dog in spirit and said, I think I'm going to be a cat this time. And she normally doesn't get cats, but she decided to get a kitten. And so they did the switch, and I just talked to the quote unquote kitten yesterday, and I said, you're acting very unusual the last 2 weeks. What's going on? And she's like, I'm Jack. So the male dog Jack turned into the female kitten, and total personality change, and wanted to change her new name to Penelope, and it's amazing. It's just amazing.
That's really special. Yeah, that's really special that animals can have walk-ins too. I know when it happens with humans a lot, it's usually around the time of like an accident is like when they choose to do the switch. I've never heard that both personalities are in there at once, but what happened to Drunvalo is he was in the hospital. I can't remember why, but he woke up from the hospital and the walk-in had come in and the other soul had left, and his nephew had said something to him and he goes, I'm sorry, like your uncle's not here anymore. That was like the first thing he said. And he was just that new personality. But that's super, super fascinating. That's interesting that they're coming back. And I love that you said that their soul family. So my heart dog, I called her the ET to my Elliot. Her name was Soda Pop. She passed away last year. And I'm really into QHHT, which is, I don't know if you're familiar, it's Dolores Cannon's quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Dolores,
yeah.
I read the third wave, the volunteers.
The 3 waves of volunteers and the new earth. Yeah, that's that's the first one I've heard I read too. But I found out in that Soda, my dog, had been my son in a past life. And when my husband got a QHHT session, he found out that Soda had had several difficult lives, and her purpose in this life was to just have a rest, just to have a life where she was resting and she was just loved unconditionally. And that brought me so much comfort because it was like, we gave her that, we gave her what her purpose of this life was. So absolutely on board with you with animals being soul family and reincarnating again and again. So
you should have me do a session with her.
Yeah,
Like I'll talk to the animal for like 2 hours. I have talked to an animal, a horse, for 4 hours. Wow. Not including the human session that I do on the phone afterwards, which is an hour. I mean, literally talk to the animal for 4 hours.
Yeah. So just as long as they want to go.
It's fascinating, what they have to say.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you said that. So my brother-in-law is very, very spiritual. He meditates for 5 hours a day. Right now he's in the Himalayas with monks at a monastery. Like he goes there several months at a time, multiple times a year. Like he's a monk. He's just an old soul. And when Soda passed, he told my husband and I, he was like, don't have any psychics or mediums or animal communicators try to talk to her because she's like going on and serving her purpose now, and you would just distract her by pulling her back. So I'm curious what your thoughts on that are.
I would say I agree with that for a period of time, to let them be That's why I'm not talking to Makana yet. I'm like, let Makana transition. There's a period of time where they do have to rest and transition and, not be bothered by us. But I would say after, a couple of weeks, maybe, yeah, you can absolutely, they always want to talk to you. They love you. I mean, even if they're in another lifetime. I had my soul animal is Frosty, mini American Eskimo.
I grew up with a dog named Frosty.
Okay, I'm going to show you Frosty. Wait, let me grab the picture.
Frosty was a Maltese for me.
Okay, this is Frosty.
He's
my love of my life. Okay. So
yeah.
Frosty passed, and Frosty was 3 animals in this lifetime for me. And he was actually reincarnated as a kitten the day they put him down. The day I had to euthanize him, he came back the same exact day. I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
Came back the same day because I was so distraught as a kitten. And I didn't get the kitten until, it was born and weaned. But it was literally his birthday was the day he was put down. And I found out it was him. But, I can't have I've been traveling. I was living in Hawaii for many years. I was on the go. I couldn't have an animal. And even where I live now, I cannot have an animal. Can you believe it? I know. I'm an animal communicator.
Yeah, that's horrible.
No, it's torture. So Frosty told me, and another animal communicator actually conveyed this to me, a friend of mine that I went to school with. She said, Frosty's a Great Dane now, and he's in Sweden, and he was, he's with a boy. I go, oh my God, my soul animal's cheating on me. But no, he said, no. He goes, I know you can't have an animal. You're not stable yet. You'll be stable in 6 years. That was probably like 4 years ago. So I probably have a couple more years. You're not stable. You can't have an animal yet. And I chose a body that only lived 6 years. So I'm coming right back to you after that. But he goes, I'm tired of living in a cold place. Can we live somewhere warm? Because he's cold right now in Sweden.
That's really
and
sweet.
He's a Great Dane.
That gave me chills.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that gave me a lot of chills.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said, that he was born as a kitten the day he died, because Soda died on May 25th in 2022. And we ended up in October getting a golden doodle puppy. And we found out his birthday was May 26th, the day after she died. And like in my heart, I know that she spent that day, because there's no time on the other side of the veil, right? Time is an illusion. And I know she spent that time like prepping him to be our perfect dog and like led us to him. I know that in my heart.
Look, let me share something about that with you. This is the craziest thing. Okay. So in the beginning, when they first pass, it's kind of like a heaven of their own making. It looks like whatever they loved when they were incarnated. Like if they loved running on a hillside, they'll be running on a hillside, if they love the ocean, they'll be running on a beach. So they kind of have
Made me cry.
they have a beginning transition where it's like what's the word? Not photons, but it looks like colors. Like I could see different weird, bizarre colors, and then I see like a scene, like they were, like I said, their favorite place. But then later on, when I talk to them, when they pass all that, they've already talked to their guides and they've determined what they're going to be doing. So I've had a lot of different clients, animals tell me they're in a human training school. I'm like, oh, really? I go, tell me about it. They go, oh, yeah, I'm coming back to my human. I need to learn how to handle my human. So I'm going to human training school. I'm like, the audacity of us sending animals to animal training school when they're in human training school learning how to handle us.
Yeah.
We are idiots. I mean, we're the idiots, it's just like, what? And I've had more than one animal tell me that. I go, what do you learn? They learn how to send their human thoughts, how to read their human crazy body language. It's the funniest, craziest thing that we send them to animal obedience. to be obedient. Good dog, have a treat. They're like, you idiot. If you only knew my intelligence, but I'll take that treat. Thank you very much because I'm hungry. That's what they're thinking. If you want to hold up a picture of your animal, I can try to connect real quick and just say hello. Just ask if there's any message for you.
Yeah, hold on.
You want to do that? I don't normally do live stuff like this because I'll tell you the way I work.
Well, I was going to ask you one other personal question, but the closest photo I have is her with my parents' dog, who has also passed. I love this photo so much. They're like running in the snow. Can you see it? There's kind of a glare.
There's two dogs there.
So that was Soda Pop. She was a Coton de Tulier, and that's Casey, my parents' dog, who has passed also.
So Soda's the white one.
Yeah. I love this picture so much. I know it's kind of hard.
Frosty, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I had a Maltese. Before. Yeah. But I had a Maltese named Frosty before. Like little fluffy white dogs, I have a place in my heart for sure.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold up the picture for a second. So okay. Soda's her name?
Soda Pop, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Give me a sec.
Okay.
She says, how dare her not connect with me? I said, do you want to talk to your person? She's like, of course, how dare her not to be connected with me or not to want to connect with me. Okay, go ahead. Give me a question. I have to close my eyes when I do this.
Give you a question about Soda. Now my husband.
Let me ask what she wants to share.
Yeah.
Let me ask Soda what she wants to share with you.
Okay. Oh, here, now you can see it better.
She said, I'm not gone. I'm not dead. I'm not gone. I'm not dead. She said, I may be back with you someday in the near future. Let me find out when that is. When you're ready. When you're ready. Let me ask her what animal. Okay, she said maybe a little kitten, and she showed me an image of it, white with gray on it.
Did you say a kid?
A kitten.
Oh, a kitten. I thought you said a kid.
A white kitten with gray on it.
Okay.
I said, what animal do you want to be? She was like, I was thinking about a kitten, and then she sent me this image.
Interesting.
So, like white, mostly white with a little bit of like gray trim on the kitten.
All right.
What do you want to ask?
I thought you said kid, and I'm pregnant right now, and I almost had like a heart attack. And my husband looked at like on screen. We're like, oh my god, she's reincarnating as our baby. But
wait, hold on, let me ask you that. No, she said no. She'll stay an animal.
Okay.
That is possible, by the way. You can go back and forth. Some animal communicators disagree with me, but I've had crazy experiences where the animals were human before, and they told me something historically, factually accurate, where I could Google dates, wars, times in history, the surnames of the families, the heirs, everything. And I was blown away.
That's really
blown away because my teacher does not believe that you could be a human. Go back and forth. Once you're an animal, you're not. We're never. You don't go from human to animal.
That's what Dolores Cannon says too. She's like, you're an animal first, and then you're a human. And I'm like, no. Soda was my son in a past life. I don't believe that at all.
No. and I asked this animal. I'm like, well, why are you a dog in this lifetime? The animal's like, because I chose to be humble. The animal was a king, the king of Prussia. It's a dog in this lifetime. I go, well, why the heck did you go from king of Prussia to a dog? Well, I needed to choose a lesson of humbleness. I go, well, you chose the right body.
Yeah.
For sure. This dog was pissed off because he's like, it's my decisions. I have to make the family decisions. She can't make them. I'm the decision maker. I said, well, you're a dog. and then proceeded to tell me this entire lifetime being the king of Prussia gave me the surnames, the first names, the last name, the heirs, the war spot, everything. I read it back to the client. I go, this is really weird, but is what your dog said. And she's like, mind blown. She goes, my family's from Prussia. And then she also said, somebody's always called me queen because I act like a queen in this lifetime. And I asked the dog, I said, what was your person to you back then? She was the queen.
That's like, so cool. I have goosebumps.
I know.
Wow.
So that was like the first case that I was still in training during that time. And so I knew early on that that was like a thing. And then I had lots of other cases like that too, where they were human before and they chose, some of them said they chose to come back as an animal in this lifetime for their humans because it was the only way to connect with their humans on a deeper level. Like their humans were, you know, maybe going to be single and not have a spouse or a child or whatever. So it was the only way to get like really close to their humans in this lifetime. So they had to be an animal.
That makes sense.
But
and every lifetime is for different lessons too, right? And for your own soul growth. So maybe like that dog needed a humbling lesson, right? So maybe that body is better.
A lot of the animals, sometimes they'll choose their own lessons to deal with. They're working on themselves, but a lot of them, they're human and they're helping their human with their soul growth. And they're helping them, you know, like Frosty told me that he came back to me lifetime after lifetime to help me with my self-esteem, you know, because I didn't have self-esteem growing up as an almost deaf child. I never learned sign language. I never went to special schools. I never got any help or support on that. So my self-esteem was always, you know, and confidence very low. Okay. Until I started doing this, and it's just, you know, let me break out of my shell. Let me just tell you, it's funny because when I first knew that I had to do something publicly, because I'm like, okay, I'm an animal communicator. I have to market myself, right? You can't get a job. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to do YouTube. I was terrified to do anything in the public eye because of my lack of confidence growing up. And it terrified me to where I would cry. I would cry to fellow students, like, I can't do this. They're like, you can and you will. You can and you will. So once I got over that YouTube hump, I was like, this is ridiculous that I was terrified. And it became so easy. And then I started doing podcasts, you know, audio podcasts. And let me just tell you, when I had to, you know, you have to listen to your own voice and do the edits, right? So you have to do the playback because you may have screwed up something. And when I started doing it early on in the first couple of sessions, I would cry at the beauty and the sound of my own voice and cry happy tears because I was just, for the first time in my life, speaking my own spiritual truth. And I used to, when I grew up, I used to hate my voice. I used to hate, you know, I couldn't stand the sound of my voice. And when I listened to those playbacks, and I'm like, who is that beautiful creature speaking these eloquent words? And I'm like, it was so game changing and life changing for me to get over these humps. And now it's just I love doing podcasts, right? And I love doing all of that stuff because it's not about like me being famous. I could not care less about that stuff. And it's not about being a podcaster. I feel like I'm speaking my spiritual truth and doing my soul work in this world. It's like there's no better feeling.
That's so beautiful.
It's amazing.
That's so beautiful. And I love that you spoke to something like when you get out of your comfort zone, it's terrifying at first. But then as you do it, it becomes natural and a world of opportunities can open up to you. I tell my listeners that all the time. So thank you for sharing.
The thing that scares you the most is the lesson that you need to work on. If you're terrified of something, you need to get over those phobias and those things that terrify you. It's funny because like living in Hawaii is like other dimensional. It is because things are manifested quicker, the good and the bad. Like if you think a thought, it's manifested instantly. And I just got stuck on my bracelet. Hold on. So when I first moved to Hawaii, because I was an energy healer then, I was a pranic healer. So, I'm used to manipulating and moving energy. I understood all those things.
Sorry.
But I was in California, I was in Washington State, I was in Atlanta, I was in Florida. So when I first moved to Maui. I'm dealing with the, gut wrenching stuff with people because I have friends I'm still looking for in Lahaina. So I lived in Maui for 2 years first. And when I first got there, I had a thought. I was driving and I saw this rainbow and I thought, God, that would be really cool if I drove through that rainbow because the energy healing that pranic healing uses, we shoot energy out of our palm chakras and we use different colors. We use rainbow colors for different healing properties. And I thought that would be really cool and healing if I drove through the rainbow. The rainbow was way far away from me, like a quarter mile away in a field, and I'm driving on a road. When I had that thought, the rainbow turned the corner. It became adjacent to where my car was all of a sudden and started moving and then got right in front of me on the road. I'm like, what the hell is happening? I literally had that thought and I literally drove through the rainbow and I'm like,
That's so cool.
Oh my God. And then over and over, people, when they go to visit, I always tell people, your phobias and your fears will be served up to you on a silver platter so you can get over it. In Hawaii, that's what it's like. And I was terrified of the water. And I had so many water accidents. I fell off of a big tide pool cliff in Laguna Beach and had to be rescued by the lifeguards and taken to the hospital.
Wow.
So I had I was stung by a man of war when I was kid. So I had a lot of water drowning phobia and stuff. So when I first moved to Hawaii, I got into a water accident, 2 of them, until I got over the fears and everything. But I was telling you this because I had a terrible rat phobia for no reason. I must have had a lifetime. I haven't checked this one. Back in during the Black Plague, because I had this ridiculous, off the charts rat phobia, right? Until one day somebody posted a video of a rat showering itself. And I shared that a bunch of times on mine. Did you ever see that? It went all over social media. It was literally a rat. They played some music and the rat was like showering his armpits under like a stream of water. He was, cleaning his hair. It was somebody's pet rat. They gave him soap and he was showering himself. And I was like, holy crap. And then while this is happening, I'm supposed to get over this fear, right? This rat shows up at my doorstep and, I leave all the animals food. I don't throw away garbage. I have a compost and I have, all kinds of creatures out here. I have opossums and raccoons that come and get the food at night. So I can kind of leave them food. And so this rat decided he's going to be one of the creatures getting the food. And so he came up to my doorstep and he comes out in the daytime instead of at night. And he sits there and chows down in front of me. I'm like, you realize I can see you, right? And it was like this phobia I was supposed to get over. So when I saw that video of the rat showering, it was like, phobia, it's gone. It's gone, completely gone.
You're like, that's
funny that your fears are, let them go and get over it.
Yeah, that's funny that an animal communicator would have an animal phobia. Life.
It made no sense. It was just like one of those irrational things that are from other lifetimes. A lot of the phobia stuff are from other lifetimes.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot. And a lot of the difficulties that we're dealing with now have to do with our past lives as well. That's why getting past life regression is amazing.
Yes. So I do. You want me to talk about that for a second?
Sure.
Do you have time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the regression. So when I do a past life regression, I find, a lot of times I'll talk to the animal and they'll bring up that like a behavioral issue. Like for instance, sometimes behavioral issues have a past life basis. So like they'll So, people will go, my dog is so overprotective or aggressive, and I have no idea why I didn't train him that way. And he's off the chart overprotective. And I'll talk to the animal, and they'll go, oh yeah, it has to do with the past life of my person, where, I didn't do such a good job. I got, you know, I let my person get killed or hurt, and so I have to really protect them in this lifetime.
Makes sense.
So then I'll know to do a past life thing. I'll recommend it to the person. And then I will find out the person's issues. What are your big life issues? Like I mentioned, I had some phobias. So I'll pick out like the biggies of the human, and I'll go back to 3 lifetimes where the animal was with them in those lifetimes, and when it started, like we're just dealing animal lifetime where this started, where your human died and you weren't there or something, and then the 3 successive lifetimes that I need to see, and then I can talk to the animal and the human, the past life, to not bring it forward anymore, to leave it there. That you don't need to carry this forward. It's done. You don't need to make promises for every other future lifetime. So it's very, very amazing, deep healing work. It's amazing.
That's really, really incredible. I think you froze a little bit, by the way. You were breaking up a little bit. And I have you frozen, but I can still hear you. What's that?
Sorry.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you hear what I said?
I did. I did hear what you said.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what is the number one thing that pets end up wanting to communicate with their people?
That probably that they're communicating with them. That they're sending them thoughts, even if they don't know how. Those thoughts that pop in their mind when they're with their animals are from them. They've been communicating with them all along. And I would say that's the most common thing that I find. Or wake up human.
Yeah.
I mean, wake up human, because I'm more than you think,
Yeah, that's really cool.
And not like, they explain that. They don't have to explain it to me, but to their person, that it's not about controlling me. I work with lost animals and stuff too, that run away and they don't want to come back because they're tired of the control, because they just want to be their own independent being. And some people are never going to believe in it. It doesn't matter what I tell them. Even some people that contact me, it's like, the conversation may not go anywhere ever, or what the animal has to tell me.
Oh, I think I lost you. You're still there?
They partially don't believe in it, unfortunately. So, I mean, I would say that's the common theme. The way that I work, which is why I say interspecies therapy, because all animal communicators don't do this. We're all different. And some just do a quick session, 5 minutes, $25, 5 minutes, and that's it. I am a soul healer. Okay. That's my purpose. So I go deep. I go really, really deep. Like I said, I'll talk to them for several hours. I will find out all the root causes of everything and the solutions and what they need. I ask the animals, what do you need from your person to not do this behavior? Or what do you need from your person? Or what does your body need to feel physically better? Or whatever it is, what do you need your human to do?
Yeah. Because it's probably mostly about the humans, right?
It always goes back to the humans. Oh, we didn't talk about mirroring yet.
That's what I was going to ask you next. And by the way, my buddy here is coming over and saying hi. He's I've got my 1-year-old golden doodle here.
Oh, let me see. Here, hold him up.
Come here. Oh, there he is. Can you
What's
say
his
hi?
name?
His name is Wooly, like a woolly mammoth.
Hi, Wooly. I told him, hey, I'm Loli. I can talk to humans.
He's a
Why
sweetheart.
don't we all have Lolis? He said, why don't we all have Lolis?
Actually, I was going to ask you a question about Wooly, but I do want to ask you about mirroring too and a bunch of other things.
Okay. Okay.
So it's actually interesting.
I told you we're going to talk for like 2 hours. You thought I was kidding.
I know. Well, I mean, I'm such an animal lover. This is like one of my favorite episodes I've done already. Okay, so it's really good timing because for the last week, Wooly has woken us up in the middle of the night to go out, but he doesn't like urgently have to pee. He's not straining. He's like kind of sniffing around, like looking through the fence, and he always sleeps through the night. So it's really unusual. And then the same last 7 days, hasn't been interested in his food. Like he'll eat, but we have to kind of coax him to. And the vet's like, he's probably fine. I don't think he has a UTI because he's totally normal otherwise, his energy. So I was like, oh, well, I'm jumping on with Loli today. I'm going to ask her what she thinks. So
those are good questions. Those are two different issues going on. It's not one. And
you don't think they're connected?
Well, it might be. I have to ask them. But I mean, I can give you a quick answer today after I connect with him. But if you want a real resolvable solution, I need to talk to him for longer than a minute.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I can't give you a solution because there's a lot of questions to get to something that I need to find out for those two things. You know, they may be connected. I don't know, so he's peeing in the middle of the night in the house?
No, he wakes us up to take him out. But it's just been the last week.
All right, let me ask him about that.
Okay.
He said there's something going on down there. I can't hold it right now. So he might have a UTI. So at that point, I would ask him a whole bunch of physical questions. You know, how he's feeling physically, like what the sensation is, the timing, and, does he have pain? And get a pain level. I body scan them. So there's a whole bunch of, if it's a physical case, I get all kinds of information that you can share with the vet for a diagnostic. You know, if they believe in animal communicators, you can give them all the details of like if it's acute or chronic, how long he's had it, when it started, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you can share it with the vet. So then the vet it helps the vet, do a better diagnosis with the animal.
Sure.
If it's not a physical thing, it's like behavioral, like he's getting nervous about something. Then I go down this whole line of questions about behavioral stuff, But I think he's got something physical going on down there.
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll take him to the vet then and have them check. It's weird because he's not peeing any extra during the day or anything. Like, I don't know. It's weird. But
but he said he can't hold it. So that might be like, when you have a UTI.
Yeah. It's not comfortable.
Nothing much comes out, but you still can't hold it.
Yeah. It's a bad feeling. Did he say anything about the eating or no?
Okay, so tell me about the eating thing again.
Yeah, so the last 7 days, he's just hasn't really been interested in his food. And like, well, if we kind of like coax him and stuff, he'll like hesitantly eat it. So he's getting a full meal every meal, but it's like he's not like excited about it like he normally
He just doesn't have the appetite. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. He says he feels out of sorts. He's not feeling like himself. Hold on. Yeah, I think because it's all in that area, which is where my healing stuff comes in. So the sacral is where the UTI would be, the sacral chakra.
Yeah.
And then it's going to affect the chakras above and below. So it affects the navel chakra, which is, digestion and stuff. And then also the root chakra. So feeling a little bit weak and stuff.
Makes sense.
So usually above and below. I don't deal with the numbers because I deal with not 7 chakras. I deal with 12. There's actually 144 chakras, not 12, not even 7. 7 is kind of the simplistic version of it. There's 12 main ones. So I don't number them. I just call them names.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking to him and asking. Now that we know it might be a UCI, I'll get them checked out at the vet.
Yeah. But if you want to do a session, I'm available. So
Definitely.
you want to talk about the mirroring thing?
Yeah, I would love to hear about that.
Okay. So So a lot of things that we think are animal issues are nothing more than them mirroring their human. You know, animals will mirror us to a T. I mean, I'll tell you a story in a sec, but it's actually unreal how much they can mirror us, and they will die for us if we allow it. So if you have something going on with you, I've had a lot of clients going, I've gotten vet treatments, I'm taking them to the vet, you know, I've gotten this treatment, that treatment, nothing's working. And I ask them, they're like, it's not my issue, it's, you know, it's not mine. And I go, well, are you trying to show or tell your humans something about themselves? Yes, it's all about my humans. So let me tell you this story. This will make you understand or help you understand like how much they can mirror us. So I had a client with a cat with an impacted bowel, and the impacted bowel, she went to the vet for years. It was going on. She got every single treatment, colonics. They gave probiotics. They changed the diet. They tried medicine, everything. It wasn't going away, and it was getting worse. And it was pretty bad when she called me and notified me. And he was probably not going to live very long, you know. So the cat's like, it's not mine. I asked, does it have to do with your person? Yes, it does. It has to do with the female family lineage in the household. And I thought that was so weird, you know, to ever hear that. And I was kind of scared to even read it back to the person. And I read it back to the person. And, it has to do with anger at their mother, is what the cat said.
Interesting.
So your impacted bowel has to do with the female family lineage being angry at their mother. Really? Like, what in the hell kind of connection is that? So I read it back to the person. She was floored. She goes, not only do I also have an impacted bowel, she never told me that. I go, well, your animal's mirroring you. She goes, but I don't talk to my mother, and I'm angry at my mother, and I haven't talked to her in years, and her mother doesn't talk to her mother and is angry at her, and her mother's mother, who I guess had passed already, never talked to her mother and was angry at her. And they all had impacted bowels. I go, well, your cat's telling me that's the cause. And so I did soul healing with her. Like I said, I work with the humans. I did a healing session with her on forgiveness and on letting go of that anger against her mother. She called me 3 weeks later. She goes, you're not going to believe this. She goes, my cat's impacted bowel is gone. We did not do any treatments on the cat. My impacted bowel is gone. I'm talking to my mother. My mother's talking to her mother. Her impacted bowel is gone. And then the last one had, and then I guess the last one had to do it in spirit, you know? And all their impacted bowels went away. And the cat got much help. Isn't that crazy?
That's so amazing.
That's an extreme example of mirroring. But they can mirror our behaviors. They can mirror the craziest things that we do. They can mirror PTSD and ADHD and all that stuff. And you'll be going, my animal. No, it's you. So then I have to remind the person that you need to release your animal from this bondage, you know, because it really is. I mean,
the poor cat.
You know, but they're in service to us because they love us so much. So I tell the animal, well, thank you so much for your service. Thank you for being a gift for your human to take this on. And I ask the animal, are you willing to let this go? If your person works on themselves. And usually the answer to that will be, well, if my person actually works on themselves, I will. But if they don't, I won't. I'll keep it.
Well, that's good motivation.
I have to tell the person, you can't pretend to work on yourself now. You have to work on yourself. You have to take it upon yourself, or your animal is going to never let this go. So
Yeah.
it's pretty astounding what mirroring is and does.
That is amazing.
I
Uh,
know.
I don't know if you're familiar with Greg Braden's work. I really love his work.
Yeah, yeah.
He tells a story in one of his books. I think it's The Divine Matrix, a really similar story where his mom called him one day and she was like bawling because her dog wasn't feeling well. She took it to the vet and they did x-rays and there were like spots all over, like tumors or something all over. And she was like bawling, and Greg had just heard about, I guess, animal mirroring or something. And he was like, Mom, I want you to go get checked out right now. Go get x-rays. And she thought he was crazy and she did it. And it turned out she had spots in the exact same area on the x-rays, and they treated her. And then once they treated her, the dog cleared up. And
It's
amazing.
unreal. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable how much they can literally take our physical, emotional, everything. It's
What a
unbelievable.
gift. I mean, how amazing is it that we have animals here? Like, I mean, I'm like, are we even worthy of it? Like, they're so special.
Oh no, they are such a divine gift. And
Yeah.
they work so hard trying to help us lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and I mean, we don't give them credit. We don't give them credit for when they do a behavior, they're doing it intently and they're doing it to show you something. Animals don't do something for no reason. There is always a reason, and they're trying to show or tell you something about something, even if it's not mirroring. They may be trying to show or tell you something about another. I had a client that this dog would like flip upside down on his back and stick his paws up in the air like he was dead, and kept showing her. And she's like, "What's wrong with my dog?" And the dog was trying to tell the person that the animal, she had another pet that just passed, that they're communicating back and forth, and that animal is still very much in contact, that they're not gone just because they're passed. So this dog kept flipping upside down, sticking its legs in there just to alert her.
That's really cool.
I know, isn't that cool?
Do you find that when animals pass, like I know they go on and reincarnate. I remember when Soda passed, my mom gave me this book called The Amazing Afterlife of Animals. I don't know if you've read it, but it was by an animal communicator. And her whole thing is that your pets stay around you. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, because I want Soda to like go on and have more adventures. But yeah, I would just love to like hear your take on it. Do they stay around?
No. They're multidimensional. I mean, especially if you're in spirit, you don't have a body anymore. You can travel all over the universe. Even when you do have a body. A cat just told me the other day how multidimensional they are, that they can like go all over the place. I had a tiger tell me that if you want to jump on my back, I can take you there. I'm like, yeah, cool.
I would do that.
So cats are multidimensional. Animals are multidimensional, but if you don't own a body and you're in spirit, you can do more than one thing. You can be doing your thing there and jump in and go visit your human. And, a lot of us feel our animals crawling on the bed and actually can do a temporary walk-in. We talked about like the permanent walk-in, but I've had many times where Frosty showed up in another animal quickly, temporarily, just to say hello to me and give me like a kiss and a hug. And I felt it. And I used to have 2 Jackson chameleons when I lived in Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Jackson chameleons. I had a male and a female, and I love them so much. I mean, I used to go I used to put them on my chest and take them to the park and take them bike riding. And there was a really strange connection that I had with a male Jackson chameleon. I mean, it was beyond love. Like, I cannot describe it. And I would actually kiss him on the lips. I mean, I loved him so much, and he was dying, and I couldn't even deal with it. So I was having a hard time even talking to him because of the emotions. And so a friend of mine was also an animal communicator. So she came over, and I never ever told her about Frosty. She didn't know anything about Frosty. She goes, "He's showing me that he's a white dog right now." And I'm like, "What?" So, I mean, Frosty just came in, jumped in the body to say hi, and then left. And
wow,
that's happened a lot of times with Frosty, more than one animal, But they can do. You don't have to feel guilty if they come visit you. There's not at all. They love you so much, that they're with you forever. They're your soul family. I mean, you incarnate over and over with these beings. And, sometimes they were your humans. Sometimes they were different. They weren't even an animal. Sometimes they could be a tree or like a rock or some other kind of, a dragonfly or some other kind of being. And sometimes they're still around you. Sometimes when my mother died, I had this butterfly that showed up and it did not leave my side for 3 whole days. And before she died, I was told telepathically that she's going to transition in 3 days. She's coming out of the cocoon and she's going to turn into a butterfly. And I told my entire family, Mom's going to die in 3 days. And it happened. And so there was like this butterfly kind of message connection, right? And so after she passed, this butterfly literally did not leave my side. I went to Starbucks with a butterfly like on my computer, stayed with me. I went to get coffee. I came back and it was still there. Did not leave my side for 3 days.
Wow.
Because, 3 is a sacred number. And that had to have been my mom.
So Loli, can you let listeners know how they can work with you, how they can get in touch with you? Is there a website they should check out? Let us know.
So can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so I do all kinds of sessions, like I said, that I go deep, and I also energy healing for animals, and everything is remote. I can do it in person, but I can do all of it remotely. And I also channel angels. So you can get speak.com, animals-speak.com. And then I also have my own podcast channel. If you ever want to listen, I'm on all of them. Loli Jane, Jane, Animal Communication. I'm on Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Buzzsprout. You can ask Alexa or Siri to find my channel. It's Loli Jane Animal Communication. It might be Ann Healing. So animals-speak.com. Feel free to contact me or email me from there. And I also have a Facebook group called same name, Loli Jane Animal Communication. Instagram, all that. Social media.
Thank you. And I'll be sure to put your website link, your podcast link in the show notes. So if anyone, it was breaking up a little bit, but I think we got it. So if anyone wasn't sure, it's in the show notes. And definitely contact Loli for any behavioral issues. If you're looking for a lost pet, if you want to communicate with your departed loved animal, she's here for you.
Any physical issues that you need help with.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you. It was great. I love talking about this.
Thank you so much. And thanks for talking to Soda and Wooly for me. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. You're welcome. Okay. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone.
Okay. Bye.